action. All right, welcome to Dungeon Master Level 1. Sweetness. All right, we are on. This is episode 2 of Dungeon Master Level 1. We're here to have fun. This is the adventures and stories of a new Dungeon Master leading a group of new players through their first and his first dungeon D&D campaign. My name is Merritt Smith. I am the first-time Dungeon Master. With me is my co-host / unwilling assistant DM, Ted White, one of the players in the campaign. And so we're going to be going through what happened in our second session of this game. So, Ted, you want to...
What a session it was. It was... We were all wondering what's going on. Are we going to figure out who's running this town? And I might be getting ahead of myself, but we sort of got a glimpse of what the power structure is in this town, and also sort of got a taste of our first adventure. But we were missing one player.
Right. And that was one of my talking points, that already session 2, we were down a player because of life and being grown-ups.
Seems like this is a pretty common thing with D&D, is that you're usually going to have one person who's unable to make it for whatever life things happen, which is fine, because you can either play it two ways. You can either be super this is, we expect you to make the time commitment, and that just is a bad time for everybody, or just sort of doing what you did by making it work story-wise.
Yeah. I knew going into this, everyone in it is an adult with a life. Two out of the 4 of us...
Relatively. We're adult in age only. Some of us.
Yeah. Two out of the 4 of us involved. 3 out of the 5 of us involved have children. So I knew that people were going to be missing sessions. So I built this world with a mechanic that would explain why a character would drop out and drop back in. So for anyone not caught up, or anyone who needs a refresher, the world these players are in experiences what I call warp storms, which is like a concentrated, very small, magical electrical storm that can cause people to basically blip in and out of existence. That's how all the players, how all the characters found themselves in the same place at the same time. And this week, one of the characters, our warlock Kofi. Oh no, he's a sorcerer. Sorry, he's a sorcerer. Our sorcerer Kofi warped out of existence for the characters right at the beginning. That's 4 times I've said characters when I meant players.
Hey, but you know what though? That's a good way to look at it.
Right.
You're thinking about this is a story that we're telling, right? And only one of us knows kind of where it's going, and the rest are just active participants.
Yeah. So
let's just play and make them ups with your friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all we're doing. It's collaborative storytelling.
Yes.
So this session started with the characters about to meet the king and his family. They met the king, met his family, were tasked with a quest by the king to retrieve the key to the Tarmalon's kingdom's vault, because the king, who's a bit of a lush, lost it on a hunting trip. And
I just want to pause right here just to
go ahead.
From my perspective as a player, the king losing the key to what presumably is the treasury and the source of any sort of economic stability in this town, it seems pretty negligent at best. Now, I could go on and on about economics, but at the same time, this introduced an interesting challenge that I have for myself playing this game, is how when you want to interject as yourself and when you should not, based on the reality of the character that you're playing, right? So, for example, Bunch of Amazon, he doesn't know much about economics. He's more of a monk who's really creeping pretty close to bard territory as after this last session. Doing a lot of sleight of hand, doing a lot of
Well, that's like,
magic tricks.
yeah, Bosch was like creeping into like bard territory with his
Mm-hmm.
incessant flirting, but also like into rogue territory with his attempts at
Mm-hmm.
sleight of hand magic tricks. I loved that role playing, by the way, of Bosch
Thank
like trying to do like elementary grade school magic tricks, like the coin disappearing behind
Mm-hmm.
someone's ear to like
Oh yeah.
full grown adults in the middle of a
Mm-hmm.
bar.
Oh yeah. I have a tendency to get a little silly,
Yeah.
and I hope I didn't get too silly this last
I
time.
would say not at all. I absolutely loved that. It was funny, it was fitting, it was good role play. It was it was perfect. It was perfect. So,
Right.
so we
Where
had
were we? So we're talking about
yeah.
okay. So the king lost the key on a hunting trip. We are then tasked to go find it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we left off,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Great.
So all the characters agreed. They signed a contract with our favorite Ethel as the new adventuring party case manager. That she got a promotion at work, so she'll now be the case manager for Bosch and his companions. And
I said this in the campaign, but I was really hoping when you reintroduced Ethel that she was going to show up in like full like Dragon Slayer like scale mail or something, some like magically enchanted like full plate mail. Turns out that she's like level like 16 paladin.
Yeah,
or some
right,
shit. I was
right.
like fully prepared for that, but
no,
maybe I'm looking too far into the future.
I think her
It's like this giant knight shows up and we're like, whoa, who is that?
yeah.
Slides the like faceplate up. Hello, boys, it's me.
I think her
Anyway.
adventuring days are behind her for the most part. But I also
Are they?
or are they?
Or are they?
But I thought that was a good way to keep her involved and someone that
Mm-hmm.
the characters will check in with regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So then the heroes spent a night at a tavern. I thought our Goliath barbarian and his player Steve and the character Raccoon, he did some awesome role play in that with just ordering like every single piece of meat that the inn could provide.
Right. He bowled a very strong Ron Swanson. I feel
Yeah.
like that was. I feel a lot of like Ron Swanson energy coming from Raccoon. Just the I want every piece of meat
Yeah.
in this tavern.
I'm afraid you misheard me. What I said was bring me every piece of bacon and eggs you have. Yeah, a lot of that, very much so. And so then after a night at the tavern, at the tavern, our heroes met who I have called the Stranger. Also,
Oh yeah.
the Man in Black, or I think someone called him Mystery Man. But yeah, so a dark being who dressed in black, appeared mysteriously, left just as mysteriously, and cautioned our heroes that their quest was not as it seemed, and be careful who they trust. And who our heroes were not able to get any sort of read on, who could barely see his face because of the darkness surrounding him. So they had a little encounter at the inn, and like no one else in the inn seemed to notice him. And then
And this is a part where I really want to commend your DM or the story creation rather, just because I think it's really easy in early level games to kind of have it be like, okay, here's your first quest, you go do the quest, you come back, and that's that. But this kind of like adds another layer of mystery of like things are not what they seem. It keeps us invested. It keeps people who might not be participating but like listening or watching the campaign. If you're out there, wow, thank you so much for supporting us. So we're doing this for the first time. But it really added that layer of mystery and intrigue, which keeps them coming back. You know, it's like why Lost ran for so long.
right,
It's like what's going on with this? Who's this? What do the numbers mean? The answer, kind of a letdown, but it doesn't matter because we had fun along the way, right?
yeah, 100%,
Right.
100%. So a big part of that evening was I've spent a lot of time trying, and I don't want to give too much away to you as a player with this.
Please don't.
Okay. I just had a lot of difficulty trying to shape how that conversation would go, just in how I was preparing the writing for your encounter with the stranger. And part of my problem during the gameplay was I lost my place in the script. I could not find the dialogue that I had planned for that. I just had too many pages. Maybe I should have put that one in a separate document. But I lost the talking points that I wanted to get through for that character, for that encounter. And I still think I hit most of the major notes and got it across. So that's good. But that was difficult, obviously.
Yeah, when you're just kind of like, I think I remembered everything. That happened to me. This didn't happen to me exactly like that, but I went to the grocery store a while ago and forgot my list in the car. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to test the old memory and make sure I remember everything. And you know what? I did.
Good.
I only forgot one thing, so 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd say I hit 90% of what I wanted to get across. So that's great.
The man is mysterious. He's wearing black.
Yeah.
Not everything is not as it seems.
Yeah.
Insane.
What was your read on that character? Do you trust him? Do you find him untrustworthy? Do you... I feel like everyone in all of the characters have been justifiably suspicious of everyone. You know, because they are very much, everyone has been pulled out of their previous environments, thrust into this new environment with very little idea of what's going on. So I appreciate
my perspective kind of is just thinking about how well I've just been doing we've been doing a lot of insight checks. We've been doing a lot of perception checks. We've been doing a lot of insight checks, and I think that's really something that's helpful. But it's also, as like me as a player, I think that there's probably some deeper, darker conspiracy going on here. That's just kind of like what my gut feeling from like a story perspective is telling me.
Sure.
But at the same time, as a role player, as my character, I think that like my character has pretty high wisdom, so he's also skeptical, but he also is a gnome, so he's accustomed to being overlooked and also being being more of a observer instead of an active participant in a lot of things.
And
unless, of course, he's doing sleight of hand at the local inn, pulling gold coins from behind.
I think
the City Watch's ears.
I think that might be the first.
Oh wait, hold on! I just remembered something.
Yeah.
Pause. Everybody, stop. We remembered the word for City Watch.
Oh right. Garrison.
I have to tell everyone.
Right.
Garrison was the word we were looking for, folks.
Yes.
So for those of you who DM'd us, commented, called the hotline, sent us links on Patreon, we hear you, but you know what? We didn't need your help.
We figured it out.
Merritt pulled Garrison out of his ass on after church.
At church. I just waited till after to say. Literally, middle of the homily, I almost shouted it out. Garrison.
You're like, man, this is boring. Wait a minute, Garrison.
Right? Awesome. Okay, yeah. So they met the stranger, and then they started on their quest, journeyed out of the city.
I want to talk. Hold on, I need to pause again.
I need to talk
about something else.
Yeah, go for it.
So before we headed out, we were down a player. Kofi was zapped away by a warp storm, and suddenly a new character arrives, who is a placeholder for Kofi, named Podrick Placeholder.
Sir Podrick Placeholder, the paladin.
Sir Podrick, a placeholder, the paladin. And I don't want to. We'll talk more about like Podrick's proficiency in battle as we progress. But pretty much right out the gate, all three of us were like, we hate Podrick.
I wanted to. That is one of the talking points I actually wrote up for this evening, for this podcast. Is I was both surprised and incredibly pleased with how much all of the players hated Podrick.
I think at one point, my Bosch turned to the other ones and just said, "I miss Kofi." Like,
yeah.
At one point, well, we'll get to this, but yeah, so we introduced Podrick Placeholder, who will kind of be the fill-in if one of
Hmm.
us is unable to
Yeah.
play each week, and also a character who knows, maybe we'll actually I think there's an opportunity here, and I'm not going to tell you like how to run your own campaign, but I think there is an opportunity to like have this character be introduced as kind of like this oaf,
Well,
this like character that nobody likes,
a
and then kind
hundred
of
percent.
see.
That is exactly how I designed him. Maybe partially as encouragement to have everybody show up, because if someone's like, oh, do I
Mhm.
want to play or not? Oh, if I don't play, they're going to have to deal with Sir Podrick. I don't want to put that
Yep.
on my friends.
Hey guys, it's just me. So you have three Sir Podricks
So
with like.
I want to tell you the inspiration for Sir Podrick.
Okay.
That this is not a slight against the paladin class. I think the paladin class can be very cool, but I think the typical like oath bound knight, honor bound, duty focused kind of knight is kind of boring. And
Hmm.
so I wanted like a baseline kind of boring character that could fill in, not make any decisions for the party.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you've watched the Netflix series The Witcher. Have you seen that?
No, but I played the game
Okay.
a little bit.
This is, yeah, it's not from the game. There's an episode where there is a character very much like Sir Podrick, who was the inspiration for Sir Podrick, who was a like knight, all for like for king and country and glory. And he was just like straight ahead, no regard, no subtlety. And he oh, I have the wrong thing up on my, damn it, I'm just gonna delete that.
What happened?
There's
What
something
happened?
there's something wrong in the video for this. Don't worry about it. I'll fix it as we talk.
Okay.
So but Sir Podrick was based on this knight character who had basically no wisdom, no subtlety, no ability to
Hmm.
read into the situation. And there are on he and Yennefer and Geralt and like a whole bunch of other people are on this quest to go kill a dragon, and they're hiking up this mountain, and this creature appears out of the woods, and one of the characters freaks out about it, and then Geralt's like, oh, it's just this thing, don't like, everybody just back up and we'll be fine, just wait a minute. But this knight is like, I'll take care of it, and he draws his sword and just walks up and kills this thing in one blow. And Geralt is like, it probably was just hungry, and if we just gave it a little food, it would have gone away. Like, you didn't need to kill this thing. It was not a threat.
Hmm.
But this knight is so oblivious to any sort of self-reflection that he just charged ahead and killed it. And then, also being a idiotic jerk, he tried to cook the meat and eat it, and it ended up giving him the shits for the night.
Oh wow.
And then somebody killed him while he was like shitting himself.
Wow.
So that was the basis for Sir Podrick.
So
Just
what I'm really looking forward to, and what I would love to see happen with Sir Podrick as like a casual player, is for him to kind of like be around for the next like 6 months of the campaign. But then I want there to be a turn where like one of his like core beliefs is like completely shattered or like shaken to the core, and then he becomes uh, a villain for us to kill
oh, that's an
or
interesting.
something like that. He becomes like he like evolves into some sort of villain, but under the same sort of guise. I don't know how it would project. That's just kind of a thought that I was having
That is
just now.
interesting. That
And
is
again,
interesting.
it's just a fun thing that I would like to see, but no pressure. It's your campaign.
No, that's a cool idea. I never even thought of that. That would be interesting to like make him a villain later on.
Or just like someone who claims that they're like good, but they're actually like so
Well, I
devoted
mean,
to their
right.
misguided.
There is like the idea that you can be so like lawful good that you actually commit evil acts, like
Mhm.
ideas that could be considered evil from another
Right.
perspective. Like, you care so much about enforcing the law that you like execute people over minor infractions. Like,
Yeah.
you are,
Or you enforce laws that are unjust to
yeah,
begin with.
exactly. There is an element to that. Maybe that will happen for Sir Podrick. That's an
We'll
interesting
see. I'll
idea.
probably forget that. I'll probably forget this whole conversation, and then I'll be surprised.
That, honestly, I have so much planned out right now, that might be so far down the road that you and I might both forget about it, and then and then it'll click and be like, oh, I could do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that
Okay.
would be really cool.
So where were we? So we talked about Podrick. We headed
Yep.
out on this quest.
Arrived at a village where,
Mm-hmm.
everything seemed fine. The characters started a conversation with some of the locals who mentioned that they were being hassled by some bandits who wanted them to pay a protection fee, and the heroes decided to go detract from their quest to find the key to go take care of the bandits.
Well, there was one part before we got after the bandits where I tried to roll a deception check on Sir Podrick to convince him to go do something else while we went after the bandits.
That's
And then
right.
the other two immediately were like, "Oh, that's actually a great idea," and we all tried to do that, but my deception check failed so spectacularly.
Everybody
that
failed on that. That's right.
we all failed on that, and then Sir Podrick was like, "Hey guys, where are we going?" And we were like, "Fine, let's go." And he's just like such a goody two shoes that we all we brought him along. But here's the thing: we had a choice to either go after the key itself or go after the bandits.
Who honestly, to be fair, some of you thought maybe they had the key, which was a really good idea. I had actually not thought of that when writing out the encounter and the plot line for that episode.
Sure.
And was like a great idea. Like, yeah, maybe if there's bandits marauding around the area, maybe they did find the key. You know, maybe the king forgot it at the camp and they raided the camp after everybody left and they found the key. So that was an awesome thought. I don't remember who came up with that, whether it was
I think it might have been Scott. Somebody
Steve.
did,
Steve.
Steve. Who's Scott? Oh,
there is
Scott
no
was
Scott.
a server. Scott was a server that I had at a restaurant last week, who was very friendly. Shout out to Scott. Thanks, Scott. Scott, if you're listening, off the hook at the in Honolulu, Hawaii. Great service, great energy. Love that guy.
Oh,
Anyway.
that's hilarious. Amazing. Amazing.
Oh, okay. So we decided, okay, let's go after the bandits. Who knows? Maybe they have the key.
Uh-huh.
So we head north after the bandits. After much silliness by Bosch doing the sleight of hand stuff in the inn, insulting a bunch of people in the inn, getting like some kind of snarky comments, and Bosch like tried to like start a fight and then immediately like back down because everybody was like, no.
Right.
And then we head north. We see the bandits, and they have another gnome tied up who they are trying to get into a bag of his.
Yep.
That they can't figure out how to open. And these bandits are kind of dumb, big, dumb idiots. But they match the description of the bandits that are ransoming the town. And so now we had a choice to either just dive in to combat. But this was another part of the game where I wanted to just try something unconventional. And this is the fun of D&D, is that you can really be creative and try to like come up with unconventional solutions, because there's no code behind the game that's going to be like, no, you can't do that. It's all very planned out, but also you have a lot of agency to try new things that might not work.
Yeah.
So what I did is I said to the boys, including Podrick, I was like, guys, I'm going to try something. And so I tried some deception to play like a traveling player or something, and wouldn't you know it, it didn't work.
You know what, though? It almost did.
It almost did.
I think that there were 5 bandits in that encounter, and 4 of them failed their checks.
Wisdom check.
4 of them failed their wisdom checks. Only one of them passed on your attempt, and because the other 4 were like enamored by your sleight of your like
super lame gold coin tricks,
your birthday party magician magic tricks, that he like held off on like causing a ruckus until like it was very clear that you were not going to succeed at these magic tricks. And then combat began. But I loved that you tried to come up with it. I fully expected everyone to be like, they're the bandits, let's fucking get them.
Let's just murder them, yeah.
Right. And I love that you tried a unconventional, non-combative system to fix it. That was great.
I think that when we start progressing through levels, I might see if I can do like a combination class of monk and bard or something.
Yeah, totally.
The way I'm playing is like way more bard than like monk. Although I'm almost like an outcast monk anyway. I don't know.
Yeah.
Long story short, so
multi-classing is 100. I'm 100% open to multi-classing. I think it makes for interesting role play, if not better mechanics, and I think that would absolutely fit with Bosch. So, anyways, the fight commenced.
Real quick though, I want to talk about the magic trick.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
I pretty much clued everyone in that Bosch was not who he said he was. So I do the coin stuff. Bosch does the coin stuff. It works. The bandits are like, cool. And then one of the bandits pushes his bandit friend in front of me. It's like, make him disappear. Now this is like a 6-foot tall bandit, and I'm a 3-foot tall gnome, right? So I was like, okay, I try that, and wouldn't you know it, that check failed. And so we came up with this hilarious magic trick that Bosch would try, where he was like holding up like a sheet, like that sheet that you see people doing in front of their like pets.
The TikTok magic trick with dogs and the sheet in the doorway.
Yeah. So tried that, and we just had a lot of laughs imagining Bosch trying to like throw that up, and then like the sheet just like falls down, and they're both still just standing there. And then that's when the bandits had enough.
Yeah. That was.
And it was time to roll initiative.
That played out so well because of that. I loved how that played out. That was just absolutely amazing. So then combat commenced.
Right. And combat was pretty straightforward. We all like sort of fought. But there was one thing that happened in combat that I really want to talk about. And that is the fact that Podrick is a cold-blooded killer. Podrick was straight up was cleaving dudes in half. He was getting the best rolls, and like we would like fight and kind of like do stuff.
Yeah.
And then at one point, Steve straight up just went, "Why are we even here?" Because Podrick was just like beheading all of the bandits.
So, from a mechanics perspective, for anyone listening, all of the players are level 1. This was a encounter with 4 characters and 5 bandits. Sir Podrick killed 3 of them. 2 of them he killed on a single blow.
Yep.
Like, just I even rolled because Sir Podrick is a paladin. He has a shield and a sword. So with the long sword, I rolled the lower of the 2 damage options because it's versatile. So if you roll it with 2 hands on the sword, which you can't do with a shield, 2 hands on the sword, it's a slightly higher damage roll, but he only has 1 because he's carrying a shield. And even then, he still killed 2 of them in a single blow. He just went ham on those bandits, and I did not intend for it, but that's just how it shook out. I think everyone would have succeeded and lived through the encounter, maybe a little more beat up because of it, but I don't think anyone would have died in that encounter. But
just imagine Sir Podrick like wiping the blood from his
Yeah.
sword, covered in like the blood of the bandits, and then just cheerfully being like, "Well,
Yeah.
let's go over here now,
Right.
fellas." And we're all looking at him like,
He's such a fucking goof too. He would have been like, okay, let's go on to the next thing. Like murdering these guys would have been
Yeah.
absolutely nothing to him.
It was kind of a perfect story beat though, because we all were so down on Podrick, and then he did all this like awful violence like so effortlessly that the rest of us are kind of like,
Right.
Podrick.
Everybody hated him going in and like was like, oh, this guy's such a loser. And then when it came to fighting, he just freaking slays out. And everybody else just like, oh man, we better not fuck with Sir Podrick.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I still don't like him, but I'm not gonna fuck with him anymore because he'll like cut me in half.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we succeed through the battle.
Yep. And
Boom.
that's where we ended right at the end of combat.
Right, and I'm glad that we did, because I think that there's some story stuff that's going to happen that I didn't want Kofi to miss out on.
I think it's better that Kofi will be there for what's going to happen. Hopefully everyone can make it on Tuesday this week.
Hopefully.
I think it would have been fun to play through what we had done right after combat, and I had originally planned that, but between Kofi missing and the quality role-playing time that we spent, we just sort of ran out of time for that session. But that's great. I'd rather have a session take longer and have really have a good time than rush through things and meet what I expected to happen. But like not have such a good session. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask a question? Are you going to do like experience-based leveling, or is it going to be more like milestones?
Here's what I'm doing. It's mostly milestone, but I'm also keeping track of experience from your encounters. That as I'm planning out the encounters, I am tracking how much each player gets from their encounters. So to spoil a little bit for you, and I apologize for this, you are very close because of the role playing you and the combat you've had. You are close to hitting the next level. If it was just XP alone, you would not be. So it's kind of a mix. I'm sort of playing it by ear. It's not pure milestone, and it's not pure XP. It's the two together, pretty much.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah. So, and if there's like something that's really, really great XP or really, really great role playing, that might boost you along faster. I got to be honest, Bosch's magic tricks really makes me want to get you to level 2 so you can take a level in Bard.
I know, me too, man. I'm like, oh man, shit, I should have just been a bard the whole time. I don't even know why. I mean, I have to tell. So many years ago, I started a D&D campaign that my girlfriend was in, and she created a character who was a gnome, who was a bard, named Salty Mo. Ooh, talk like this. And and Nadia, my girlfriend, had never played D&D before, so she just created this character that instantly became everyone's favorite character because she was a bard who, I think one of the traits on her character sheet that she wrote was like mischievous, respects women. My favorite aspect, just like, listen,
Fantastic.
The one thing you need to know about Salty Mo respects women.
Yeah.
Which is 10 out of 10. And it's funny that I think about that now because it's all a bunch of dudes playing this campaign.
It is. Well, we may also have a new player coming in this week, a buddy I play with online playing video games, that we worked through his character creation. I'm waiting to get his backstory information. He may be able to join us by this Tuesday. I hope he is.
Wow.
His wife may join us, which I think would be a very welcome added element of diversity.
Yes.
Instead of 5 white men.
Instead of 5 dudes who identify as male who are super straight and
super white. But at least I think it would be great to have both him and her join us in the campaign. I think that would be wonderful. It is also
Great.
pushing the number of players I expect can manage.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
But also, I also don't think she'll be able to make it every week. That
Yeah,
she is a very busy professional in a, as I understand it, relatively demanding job. So it may just be that she pops in and out for the occasional session, which would be awesome. Which also fits into the warp storm element of the world the characters are in. And if that's the case, that's wonderful, and we'll be happy to have her when she can make it. And the question that comes in then is, how does her character level? And I'm still kind of working through that. I think for that, since she's such a potentially such a casual element of the campaign, that she'll just be at whatever level the other players are at.
Cool.
It like,
Yeah, it's kind of like in Final Fantasy when you have like your players, or when you have like characters that you don't have in your main
right,
party,
exactly,
and they like level at the same time. Yeah,
exactly. The character you never use still levels up. You can bring it along on one mission if you want to, and then
Kate Sith, Final Fantasy VII.
and then put it back on the bench. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, hey, Kate Sith, I'm not gonna use you at all. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
I'm sure Kate Sith has a lot to offer. Just never vibed with my playstyle.
Never. Yeah. Exactly. So here's one thing I wanted to talk about. In the combat encounter, one thing I absolutely loved is the way Wright, as the Aarakocra cleric, cast his spells. So
Yeah, that was cool.
To
I like that too.
provide any a point of reference for everyone listening, is that his character Lek is an Aarakocra, a bird person who was in slavery for the first 3 years of his life and only just managed to escape when he came to age at age 3. Because of some divine intervention that helped him break his chains and fly away. And so now he finds himself on this adventure, not understanding his powers or where he came or where they come from. So what the player Wright did is he said, that Lek pointed at a enemy and said, "Look out!" But like the gesture and the calling actually cast a spell that the player wanted the character to cast at that moment. So that, I thought that worked so well for a cleric who doesn't understand his magic or where it comes from, to basically, sort of like Harry Potter before he went to Hogwarts, accidentally casting magic in the height of the moment. That's what Lek was doing, and I loved that. I thought that was such great role playing and worked so well.
Yeah, that was awesome. I love that too. I love the way that the layer of reality and like character that brought too. That was really cool. Great job, Wright.
Yeah, good job, Wright.
Right? If you're listening, probably aren't, but if you are, great stuff. I'm not going to repeat it when I see you this week.
And I'll never mention it again.
I will never mention this again.
Yeah, so that was great. So I'm trying to think. We talked about... Oh, here's the other thing. I think it was... I don't remember who it was, but I also really loved that someone brought up and tried to end that combat encounter peacefully. Someone tried to...
Oh, yeah, after Patrick
after
like, hey, man, let's give peace a chance, right?
Right. After Patrick was standing in a pool of blood with his fallen enemies around him, one of the player characters tried to get the last bandit to stop fighting and stand down, to I think so they could ask questions and like talk about maybe where the key was or whatever like that.
Very smart.
It failed.
And then while we tried that, it failed. And then, as the bandit was considering it, a knife just like burst through their chest, and that Podrick looked on with his like cold, unfeeling eyes and his false smile, and we were all like shuddered and excited.
Yeah. But I love that somebody tried to go that route. I thought that was great. I think that one of the shortcomings, and again, I being new, I really don't fully grasp all the rules, but I think that one of the shortcomings of the D&D rules is that there isn't room for that kind of element. And that's why we're sort of doing a loose homebrew, role play first type game where I think a player should feel free to punch somebody if they really feel like they want to punch someone without it turning into a life and death situation.
Right.
I want
that turning into a combat thing,
without them turning it into a full combat encounter. I want there to be the freedom to try and talk down an enemy and being like, dude, just chill. Like, let's talk for a sec. Whereas I'm not sure. And again, I may be mistaken. Please comment and let me know if you know a mechanic solution in the rules for this. But to try and end a combat encounter peacefully, beyond, casting a spell to make them fall asleep or paralyze them or something like that, like a basically like a roll persuasion, get to stop fighting type thing. So I really like the way that whole thing played out, and it ended up happening that the persuasion to stop fighting failed, and Sir Podrick fucking killed him.
Exactly. There he goes. There goes that Podrick killing again, folks.
Killing again. Here I go, murdering again.
Yep. Well, it was a great week. I'm excited to see what that gnome has to say, and I'm excited to find that dang key.
Yes. I have a lot of things planned. I'm very excited for this week. I'm very I both wish we had gotten to speak to that gnome last week, but also glad we did not, because hopefully the missing player will be back this week. And actually, this is another interesting point of conversation, because now I'm faced with the challenge of introducing a new player sort of mid-campaign. And I have not gotten this player's... We went through the character creation, so we kind of we know like what race and what class he's going to be. I think the two of those are going to fit very well. But I have a general idea of what like the backstory will be, but like not really fleshed out. But it'll present, if he's ready to go on Tuesday, it will be an interesting challenge to how to work him in a natural feeling way, since like we're just coming out of this combat. We're about to have a conversation with this gnome that you've encountered. You guys are mid quest to retrieve the key, and like I'm trying to decide, like, do I do like the full character introduction that I did with like the other characters of something happening and then a warp storm pulls him in, or do I try to introduce him to the group in a more organic way, sort of as if the character already exists in the world? And I think that's going to hinge on the backstory he provides me, and whether he thinks that whether it feels like he needs to be warped in, or if it feels like maybe he stumbles upon you guys naturally.
Yeah, that's an interesting challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
Glad I don't have to do it.
Glad it's on you.
Glad it's on you, not me. All I have to do is show up and be silly.
Fantastic. All right. So, I think that brings us to like everything we wanted to talk about. Is there anything you thought about Oh, here's the last thing.
I feel like I spoke my truth about a lot of things,
Yeah.
especially Podrick and sorry, Podrick, not Podrick. I need to get a pop filter for this thing.
Yeah. You might also have a noise gate issue, but
That's just me blowing on the microphone. No, I definitely do because I'm using this arm and it's been like, the spring has been like, you hear that?
No,
This has been
no, that's not what I hear. The issue I have on my end with that is it doesn't pick up your voice immediately when you start talking. Like once you get going, it gets
it's
it.
it's because it's like speak to talk or something like that.
Yes, yeah. I think that's the issue. We'll fix it
Voice
for next time.
is how it is.
For
push to talk.
For anyone who has stuck with the podcast through this, thank you so much. We are working on these solutions. It will be
and those 20 unique downloads. We see you, baby.
We
Thank
see you.
So much for
We love you.
Hope you download the next one. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know, but we see you. We love
But
you.
we'll
Write us a review, and maybe we'll read your review online.
We'll fix the
Unless
audio
it's bad, in
issues.
which case we'll
Yeah.
find you and tell you what's up.
We'll fix this
send
audio.
Patrick to your house.
We'll send Patrick. We'll fix the audio issues for next time. So thank you for your patience.
Well, right. I'll try. We'll see if it works. Maybe. But you know what? You don't listen to podcasts for the audio quality, okay? You listen to it for the hot heat between two friends playing D&D.
Amazing. Anyways,
Anyway.
The one last point I wanted to bring up was you guys enjoyed ordering food at the tavern way more than I thought you would. That took, honestly, I expected that to be like, oh, we're at the tavern. Okay, well, I'll go to sleep. But like,
that's what I wanted to do, but apparently
everybody else was like, we're going to role play this. We're going to have a feast. I want to order everything on the menu. What other kind of food options do you have? What sides? What sides do you have? What kind of drinks do you have? It was amazing.
Oh man. Yeah, that was wild.
But I enjoyed that so much. I loved because it made it feel like the characters lived in the world. It was really nice to see that. It wasn't just like, like the trope of D&D players is that like, they become murder hobos. They just try and kill everybody and move on to the next quest and the next dungeon and get the next loot. And I love that the players we have in this game care about the players care about the characters and the lives they live. So that was really cool. I really liked that.
Did you ever listen to the Adventure Zone podcast?
Nope.
It's another D&D podcast done by the McElroy brothers.
Okay.
They did a whole campaign that was really well crafted and like got pretty high concept, but the DM would like write music for it and stuff like that. But I'm not saying I'm expecting that at all. But
if you do not have 3 original songs by Tuesday.
I'm just saying as someone who is starting this for the first time, I was definitely pretty heavily inspired by it as well, just to get into it because
Adventure Zone, is that what Adventure Zone?
Adventure Zone, yeah.
Right,
I haven't listened to it since the end of the first arc. I tried to listen to the next arc, but then I kind of fell off. But
yeah.
Let me see if it's even still up. Hold on.
Well,
this is the kind of content people come here for.
The slow audio Google search.
Hey, here's a fun thing I just did. I typed in the name of that podcast, but not into the podcast app, into the App Store. And then I was real confused as to why nothing came up. Folks, this is what it's like to get older. Just, you do things wrong. I just spent a week with my parents, and I was also just realizing that I'm recognizing a lot of the same things that I do that my mom will do or that my dad will do. It gets real wild. Anyway. Whoa, okay. This is wild. Okay, so they have a bunch of episodes, but anyway, doesn't matter. I don't have any other final thoughts. I just thought I'd go on a complete tangent about another D&D podcast.
So stop wasting your time here and go listen to them.
Yeah, just listen from the beginning.
I'll check it out.
It's fun. And for those of you listening to this, don't listen to the Adventure Zone. Listen to our podcast. Also, we're not even playing D&D on this one. We're just talking about us playing D&D.
Right. Although
How can people watch how can people watch the game?
yeah,
Merritt?
yeah. If people want to see the actual game sessions, they can go to my YouTube channel that is under my Twitch handle, The Irish Roger, which is rogue with an R at the end. TheIrishRoguer, which is, fun fact, is how I learned to spell the word rogue as opposed to rouge.
And you can follow my YouTube channel, The Irish Rouger, spelled the same way but incorrectly. No, I don't have a YouTube channel called that.
Yeah. So both the video recordings of this podcast and the video recordings of our game sessions are hosted there, so people can watch it there. I'm also going to pull the audio from the game sessions and start hosting them under this channel.
Good idea.
So that people can just listen, because it is, largely a audio based game, and people will be able to listen.
I would
mostly.
also say that if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not going to have a lot of context unless you're listening to the actual gameplay.
Right.
itself.
Well, I think we did a pretty decent recap of what happens.
I think so too, but you're not going to listen to a recap podcast
Right.
of The Godfather without watching The
Right,
Godfather.
that's
You
true.
know what I mean?
That's true.
Which is the same level of quality that I'm referencing. With
We are
this game that
we
we're
are the
playing. It's
equivalent of The Godfather. Yes.
Godfather of D&D campaigns and attached podcasts. Oh my god. Okay. So that's where you can
Amazing.
watch The Irish Roger, not The Irish Rouger.
Not the Irish Rouger, not the Irish Rogue, The Irish Roger on YouTube.
We're playing again Tuesday.
Yep.
We'll be back next week with another recap
Yes,
podcast.
indeed. So thank you for everyone who's stuck with us this far.
1 week, you did it. Thanks so much for your long-term. Also, we didn't even upload on time because somebody, me, was unavailable on Thursday to record. That was also me.
No, perfect. All right. Yeah, I think that covered everything I wanted to talk about. And thank you so much for everybody who's listened. Thank you, Ted, for being available for another wonderful, enjoyable session of recap and discussion. Thank you so much. And everyone, hopefully you'll be back again soon.
I know we're signing off, but I just had another thought.
Oh, go for it.
I'm about to sign off, but I think it would actually be fun to bring in people who are actively playing in the campaign.
Yes, no, that is absolutely the plan. I just wanted to get a couple of sessions between just you and me
Right.
doing the
I love
podcast, and
Sweet.
then I think maybe after the holidays, because for anyone listening to this in the future, it is currently mid-December, so everybody is busy getting ready for
most
Christmas and such.
Wonderful time of the year.
Most wonderful time of the year.
I ordered a smoked turkey for the fam. We're gonna
Nice.
chow down.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Anyways, okay, that's the real end of the show.
I am your level 1 Dungeon Master, Merritt Smith.
I'm your number one kiss boy, Ted White.
And this has been Dungeon Master Level 1. Thank you so much for listening. Everyone have a wonderful day and be well. Thanks. Bye.
I'm the kiss boy, kissing you goodbye.